Bookophilia. It's now the home of great poetry in Jamaica, right? When we're not in Calabash. First one I'm going to do is the Festival of Wild Orchid, the title poem from my book. You know, when people ask me why this cover, I just basically point them to the poem. The Festival of Wild Orchid. It was death, riding the ocean in a tomb of bodies, so she howled an ancestor waking howl to her grandmother's spirit in the trees, who, stripped bare, begged the West Indies to fit her granddaughter with wild orchid leaves and the hardiness of a tree. A tree stands bare, naked, like the first African woman to stand on this island, with a swelling ocean for a tongue and a cry that stripped the trees of all the leaves. Mark it. It is a festival of wild orchid. Scale. You know, I mean, I'm a mom, so I have to prepare food for my daughter. So this one is scale. I scrape the knife over the skin of the dead fish, and scales fly into the air, then fall like shells into the heap of leaves below. But they are not shells, they are layers, snippets of pictures that as I scale are set in motion like a reel. Each scale part of a scene, a Taino's blood draining down to the leaves, a bald African struck down to her knees. Each scale part of the ocean, of the sea that brought me here by the heap, scaling fish on this red hills. That's where I live. Grandmommy. Grandmommy's mommy was a Puerto Rican, and as grandmommy say, her daddy was a true blood Coromantin man. Grandmommy say I remind her of her Puerto Rican mommy, the way I turn in front of the mirror and fix my hair like so and so. She used to say, it's the same way so your great grandmommy used to turn, with her little waist and her long hair in front of the mirror. I fix her face. Grandmommy's mommy was a Puerto Rican, and as grandmommy said, her daddy was a true blood Coromantin man. And when my grandmommy come from foreign, she sit and spin and pedal the sewing machine, make skirt and frock and blouse. For a little Coromantin, quarter Chinese, Puerto Rican girl. Now, I have, you know, everybody here is mixed up and stuff like that. Hey Sean, what's up? Casio, Kayla is inside. Alright, so this is leaves. I'm in the bus with the other press officers, and there's an old woman raking leaves. As they fall, there's an old man raking leaves. As they fall, he collects them. This is November, autumn in China, when leaves fall and there are trees near the road. But no leaf, it seems, stays long enough for you to remember it there on the road. What stays is the old man raking leaves, collecting them as they fall. And I think I see why Popo, who hopped the boat from China to the island, rakes leaves. Morning, evening. Popo is a Hakka dialect in China for grandma. Request. You'd stand in front of the stove and make mi chang, boiling the sugar with some lime juice for 2 hours till it's a sticky syrup. Then you'd pour it on the bed of Rice Krispies and roller-pinned peanuts laid out on the grease paper beach. You'd wait for it to set, then cut it into squares. My daughter Kayla loves Rice Krispies treats, which tries to replicate, but doesn't. Marshmallow alone isn't enough to compensate for the loss of peanuts. I know it doesn't always set, but Grandma, Popo, can you make mi chang? Kayla hasn't tasted it yet. Now, Cesar Vallejo is, well, was, poets don't really die, do they? If you make it. So is from Peru, and he had a poem that's called The Nine Monsters, and there's a section of the poem that goes like this. Mr. Minister of Health, what to do? Unfortunately, human men, there is, brothers, much, too much to do. Dear Cesar Vallejo, in Jamaica, our collective anger is like the sea. It undulates, then eventually goes under. Like the 9-day wonder, or more precisely, somehow straightens out like the crushes of waves that straighten out into nothingness. Like cloth ironed out on the board below in front of us. And my grandmother is a dead fish, an unknown, uncounted statistic whose heart couldn't manage the virus's rampage on her body that had gone 81, but was strong before, that is. My grandmother, transplanted from China, was thrown under the bus like the rest of us, who never knew how susceptible we were. Since mom was the word and the people lacked knowledge and perished. So in Jamaica, Mr. Vallejo, government is the one who stands at the board above the crinkled cloth, and the cloth whose anger is ironed over or goes under like the waves at sea is us. And government too is God in heaven. Alright, so this one is to my father. And the moon up in the sky tonight? No, because it's, what? Is there a moon tonight? No? Not seen any clouds hiding? Alright. The moon hangs like the eye of a wolf in a vast sky. The world sleeps, and I, with the tick of the clock, am up with a petulant stomach, thoughts that let in my head, my heart, my lungs, strained by a draft, that in this still night of the wolf-eye moon, I fear will take me out like Keats coughing up everything. In this night when death seems a breath of, in the words on this sheet, I write of you, of the time your father died and you charged in the room where I hung the grease paper and bamboo fish he made me with his own hands that traveled from China, dragged it down like a hideous painting, a dirty curtain, flung it on the heap, doused with kerosene, lit it, and stood there watching it burn, while I stood unknown behind you, watching you burn the one thing I had of him. In this night when the wolf-eye moon hangs and death seems a breath off with the air beating these scarred lungs, I remember too the pilgrimage in Havendale, on the way to the garage, the lessons you passed on like water from pipe to cupped hands. And I remember the sky bright blue and unclouded as I was on that walk when you held my hand. Alright, I'm going to read this poem, Red Sweater. I actually brought the sweater, but you know what? Poets make images, right? So I don't need to show you the sweater. For Daddy. There's a red sweater in my closet. It's also a tracksuit top with 2 white stripes running down the sleeves. Sometimes when I feel its polyester skin, I travel to a December day in the 1980s when the wind owned the streets. And Daddy loaned me his red tracksuit top with the white stripes running down the sleeves for school. I felt grown and cool like Daddy in his red sweater tracksuit top with the white stripes and the zip I kept playing with. The zip still works. The sweater looks new, like the memory of you putting me in your tracksuit top. I close my eyes, and I'm back on the playground, proud with your cool tracksuit top with the white stripes running down the sleeves. Daddy, your red tracksuit top in my closet is like the tiara little princess's treasure. A memory bank I go to take me back to when we were better at being father and daughter. I want to big up Ambassador Matthew Joey. I see you really love literature. Alright, Blue U. I considered whether or not to do this one because I'm not sure if it's complete, but you know, I should do a poem on my mother. I think that it may make more sense if you read it in a collection around other mother poems, but here goes. I tripped this morning on a piece of you. I swallowed the yellow moon and then I wake. Surprise, surprise, the piece of you was blue. Alone in the bone white walls of my working mew. The clock pricks and I sit and chew. For what sake I tripped this morning on a piece of you. Yesterday when I was stirring my brew, there was a piece of you under a brown bran flake. Surprise, surprise, the piece of you was blue. In the record, I'm the record stuck at the memory of you. I'm hollow now, I'm Joan. Raised at the stake, I tripped this morning on a piece of you. In the yard, a piece of you peeped through the heap of leaves under the hand of my rake. Surprise, surprise, a piece of you was blue. I am the horse they found who's lost a shoe. Here, no solid ground to drive in a stake. I tripped this morning on a piece of you. Surprise, surprise, the piece of you was blue. Brother. At 9, I picked flowers for your birthday, wishing you playing in the garden with me or on the veranda, taking the ladders of the fire truck, arranging them to rescue the child trapped in the room. At 17, I come home from the tent crusade, clutching the hope for a miracle, like a crystal in my hand that drops and splinters when I see you still as you were before the crusade. At 24, I stand in the morgue of the hospital, the same one you were born in, and they screwed up again. A girl shares your cold chamber, but I resent more your botched delivery. Norvin, when you died, I walked in a whirlwind. Your father, glass, splintered and senseless, barring me and your mother from the cremation. So that for more than a year, she opened and closed oven doors, putting the beginnings of puddings, pies, tarts in, taking them out, completed. Sometimes I see you, once as a boy at a school I taught, the same living hair cut close to the scalp. The same smile opening your face. Norvin, my brother, I kiss your black brow and wish my world was like my daughter's, where a teardrop would bring you back. You know, the more people who die around you, the more you realize that you're not getting younger. It really hurts when your schoolmate dies. This one is called Tara. Been meaning for some time to ask you for my white hoodie with my name airbrushed on the front and the graduation class on back. It's a keepsake, as you know. Then flipping through the papers, your face smiled through from the obituaries. They think we were lovers the way I bawled at your funeral. And since, as a pastor, your uncle said you were believing in God for a miracle, ask him why. He's allotted some the constant role of Job. Ask him why he allowed all those times on the badminton court at school, at competitions, those times on the phone, on the road, in front of your house, in Christmas, on the stairs, eating marshmallows. Cassandra D. We have many, many Cassandra D's in Jamaica and in the world. This thing is not a joke thing. Cassandra D, 50-something, has translucent eyes like those of a cat searching you for any form of guise. She loves the river and the sea, follows up the Rasta creed, slaps dominoes in the lane in the night, nursing a stalk of weed. Sometimes she goes into herself, feeling around in the dark. When she emerges, she issues words like guns, like dogs that bark. You see, Cassandra D and her typewriter taught adults how to read in a crevice in her neighborhood where the mood is always need, and where she thought words could shed light on a gloomy election year. But one night, men trashed her typewriter, paralyzed her with fear, and as they violated, they badgered and threatened her. If you keep one more meeting, we'll come back for you hear. And there were witnesses on the bed in the one-room tenement, a son from an uncle and a girl, an adopted dependent. Cassandra D no longer lives in a tenement in the lane. Her dad, once lost, then found, now dead, bought a house to ease her pain. But she goes into herself sometimes, feeling around in the dark. When she emerges, she issues words like guns, like dogs that bark. Surreal. Actually, I have two surreal poems, so this is surreal too. A usual Thursday morning in the tropics, sun, lots of it, and cars in traffic. Perhaps in one of them a child counts all the red cars or the white ones like I used to. I'm on my way to work with the sun, the cars, and the traffic light on red. Then the car shakes. There's no earthquake, but a man pasted on my window with charcoal skin, electrocuted hair. The light is still on red. He goes closer to the bonnet, but still by my window, and jerks his penis. The whites of his eyes skyward till the light turns green, and I drive on. Anybody else have that experience? Am I the only one? Hey. Marcia. Fat, squat Marcia sits on the veranda of the stone wall thing passing as a veranda with a headache, a la rum cream, and other spirits she nursed last night when some woman answered Fairman phone. It's not that Jamaican woman calm when it comes to these things. It's not that we sit with a headache and bleach with rum over a cock. For Marcia, as soon as boss man gone, fly straight up the yard to ras up the woman. Yeah, woo. Why not? September 11, 1987. They killed Peter Tosh and there was blood on the TV floor when I closed my eyes, when I looked through the window. They killed the radio jock, Free Eye, with Tosh, and fear was my ally. Looking out through the window to the yard where any minute a gunman could come. There is no Bob, no Peter, no Free Eye. They're coming to kill us, the reggae lovers, the Ike's green and gold friendship band wearers with the radio dialed to an island lingua and a one-drop cool breeze stepping razor reggae beat. You alright, Trudy? The Dance, 1986. Jerk smoke, expectation, the scent of the night. The big box booms, and the stars wash their faces to stay up for the dance. The cool and deadly queen reigns in the court. Her red riding hips rub and dub the man who winds her on the wall, the trunk of a tree, oblivious. Young eyes steal from sleep to let it in. One drop, dance hall, creation in the skin. Miss Cherry in a corner, slow pumping. The Dance 2006. It threads the air like a kite unnerved. It envelops the Saturday night dance at tavern where men nurse guns and guineas, shifting their weight from foot to foot and eyes up and down the street. There's a room spray painted with blood that hasn't been rented in weeks. You pass there to go to the toilet. The blue convoy comes with its blinking like a warning. The dance pauses. Men stash their weed and guns into stalls, into car bonnets, and slink back into the black. When the convoy leaves, the dance swings back to waiting. Cat. The innocent will always get caught in a shootout and die. Why, just last night in Nannyville, a stone throw from the stadium, the wake was interrupted with shots. And according to the cops, the casualty dead on his back was a cat. Nameless, sexless, no outstanding mark, no alias, just cat. White Pui. W.S. Merwin, in his poem Summer Canyon, has a quote: "For each voiceless flower, there is a voice among the absent flowers." White Pui. Footsteps from my home, they chop you down. Prune, really. But for the waiting time till you're a fountain again, it's a vicious butchering. A drought where I find my God and pray anxiously for respringing. I kind of debated whether or not I should call W.S. Merwin's name, because I borrowed a W.S. Merwin book from somebody, and I kind of don't want to return it, Dr. Mark. So now I call it, you remember that I have the book, so I have to return it straight. Mango Song. This big bottom Julie remind me of a sweetie come brush me mango tree, with sweetie come brush me on the lawn of the house on Sunnyfield Drive in Havendale when the summer mango the air. It remind me of after school sucking a hairy till it grey, of a low limb that you sit on like a jockey, with Julie mango juice running down your hand quicker than your tongue can stop it. This big bottom Julie in front me make the mind think all things, like to just grab it and yummy. Once when I read that, a couple asked me, that question. Alright. Immerse. My hands duck the grey and black dress 3 times into the water before I hold it and scrub it with the brush. In this moment, I'm John baptizing my dress, then religion administering the ritual, scritch, 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 to free it of any signs of the rubber dub I hanker after, in a smouldering room with boom boxes and a man pinned to this grey and black dress that, when accessorized with pink snake skin belt, skirts, middle thigh. This one is "And These Two." No sound but the waves, a key and its coconuts, a dark sea as warm as breath, black pebbles scuttling up, black pebbles washing back, and these two cradled by the tide in each other. No sound but the waves. Ultrasound. Marilyn Monroe must have been like you, facing the camera from in the womb, with your face to the crowd posing, with even a foot waving, and your lips a thin cut of skin spread in a smile. Darling, this X-ray, my first pic of you, taken September 29, 2007, is too deep a walk in the brooding woods. Take it back, doctor. Tomorrow, give me an ultrasound of a child unwilling to face the camera. This one is Kayla's favorite poem, but I guess she's playing with Tassia, so she don't need to hear it. Baby on the Ball. It was just a ball in the air. But by the way baby cheered, you'd think I'd put on a show, like a clown in a big red bow, with a sidekick and a water gun, who'd round and round a circle run. But it was just a ball I'd now and then let fall, though you'd think it was some feat, like walking upside down through teeth, singing, oh, the grand old Duke. Wasn't a parachute with a G.I. Jane, or the first drops of rain, while my baby squealed and laughed and peeled. It was just a ball I bounced on the wall. But her mirth was so complete, I marveled at the feet of my baby. In awe, goggle-eyed, enthralled, a role reversed. I the babe, she the bouncing ball. For the mother and child. Blood seeped down into the veins of our earth, and I held my child and cried. For mother and child woke that Tuesday to die. I held my child and cried for the mother and child in Haiti, for the memory of Toussaint Dessalines, for the Haitians never mentioned in the books, for the Haitian with the monkey on his back. Pat Robertson and the others, tell me if you know, why was a black man's God a devil? Why was there a price for the air you breathe in Haiti? Blood seeped down into the veins of our earth, and I held my child and cried. Almost lost. Couldn't see you. I zoomed in, out, rotated, turned the frame upside down, and couldn't see you. I ate sand like road. You weren't by the boy with his father at Domino's, the boy you were scooping up sand with your pale pink plastic pencil case, collecting shells and flying on the Fort Clarence Beach swing with. You weren't in the waves or on their outskirts, building sandcastles or digging a trench. And as the lens focused, composed the scenes, you weren't right beside, in front, or behind me, but steps away, hunting in a mound of sand for shells. Steps away, but in the space I stood, frantic, frozen, frenetic steps. Prof, you recognize them? You recognize the skills that I got? Thank you. All right, it's coming on Christmas. Skills that I got from a book that he loaned me. I'm not bragging, okay? All right, Joni Mitchell has a song called River, and there's this part, it's coming on Christmas and stuff like that, right? So I stole that. It's November, and this year, Christmas is just as near as it was last year this time. But this year, it's further from our minds with chikungunya, the fear of Ebola, undermining all attempts at early Christmas cheer. And I remember at Christmas, and New Year's Eve more precisely, when on the way to chugging some liquor and preferably lewd dancing, we saw a Waterloo Road beggar's face we'd grown to know, crushed onto the townhouse wall on the road going down to Constant Spring, across from the Olympic athlete come gym instructor's gym. Eddie Bohr. Prof Bohr, I really wanted to go on Sunday because actually that was a dream of mine, to be in Port Antonio, to see you read poems in Port Antonio. I know that Marina poem is one that I love. When you saw the turtle, you went there with your dad. I love your Port Antonio poems. I love your poems a lot. Alright, so maybe you should close your ears, you know. I would never tell him to his face that he reminds me of a banana. After all those years of bending ears to students lay waiting him at the door with almost inaudible questions. Know what? I take it back. Edible is a sprig that when it bends to the wind lets loose seeds for germination. But that's not the poem. I really have nothing to say to this man who leaves me wide open like a 3-year-old's mouth watching Dora. Can't understand that, you Stephen? Bearing witness from Mervyn Morris. You search the still water of memory. Examine the life caught in the same. The first day you saw him, he was standing in your class. No, you were sitting in his. The man who conjured a pond in your exams. No, he conjured that pond long before you came to know how poetry stands, travels far, burrows deeply. So the first day I saw him, I was in his class. The man whose father died and his mother cried, and her tears were his, and my eyes opened wide. His white beard jabbed the corner before his blue jeans, doctor's shirt, and the stars in his eyes seized the room, pinned by his baritone that dipped to bass like a bucket, plunged deep into the continent of Mervyn, then surfaced, brimming with laughter. And the class on the edge would draw near as he led us down the dark red lanes of Martin Carter, sat with us around the Singer sewing machine Goodison identified with her mother. And we eavesdropped with him as he eavesdropped with Senior gardening in the tropics. He'd use Bayram to clean the Mikey Smith cassette head, so we'd see the Legbo walking, Orange Street fire talking man, then kill with a stone and stony him. And he plugged that radar stuck in a Jean Binta Breeze head into Fiwi, and walk with on the street with Oko, Linton, Muta with him Patipan. And the class on the edge would draw nearer as he drew nearer to Miss Lou, and we peered into the pool of Caribbean poetry. And it was Mervyn Morris who inflicted the love pangs of John Donne, W.B. Yeats upon us. He brought life pouring out from the depths of souls to his class that is not and was never contained on the Mona campus. He was already poet laureate. His progeny, many. And I, manuscript in hand, like the generations of others, negotiate the wet summer, the grass growing lush, the paths to Mervyn Morris, tennis ball, poem bouncer, Rhodes scholar, rye, quicksilver, star eye, Don Drummond fan, generous, magic poem man, fathomless, the pond. So, how do you bear witness? You search the water, examine the life in the same, recommit every detail, then slip them back in, then roll your world back up to a scroll, unfold it, breathe, begin. Thank you.